Okay, so I'm working on this 2015 Range Rover Sport. I'm doing a wash and wax on it. And in this video, I'm gonna talk to you about how to wash and clay during pollen season. Now, here in Houston, pollen is coming down like crazy. As soon as I wash one panel, go get a towel and come back, the panel is already covered in pollen again. So as far as going with the traditional wash method of whether the 2-bucket wash method or a rinseless wash, it won't work here as far as going around the entire car and then drying it and then claying it. Because again, if I start at one side, work all the way around, and then come back to where I started, the entire car is going to be covered in pollen again. So to alleviate that and to be more effective, more efficient, I work panel by panel. And I actually haven't cleaned the wheels or tires yet. So yes, traditionally you want to start with the wheels and then do paint, but in this time I'm doing the paint and then I'm doing the wheels. Yes, there will be some brake dust going onto the paint, but no biggie. I'm going to clean it safely. I'll reapply wax if I need to. So it's not really much of a biggie in terms of starting with the wheels and then some of it getting on the paint. So it's really basic. Again, I'm already done with most of the car, so I only have one towel left. But you will have, I have about a gallon and a half of water and then diluted with ONR as a rinseless wash. And I put around 6 to 8 towels in here. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna get one towel. It doesn't need to be soaking wet. You're gonna wring it out and you're gonna fold it in fours. Now once you have it in fours, you're gonna use one side, and as you're wiping it across the surface and it's getting wet, you're gonna flip over to the clean side. And then once this side gets dirty, you're gonna flip it around and clean it with the other side. And then you're gonna keep on so on and so forth until the entire towel is completely dirty. Then you're gonna discard it and then grab another clean towel. So you'll never put a dirty towel back into the clean water where all the other clean towels are at. Or if you decide to use a wash bit, you're gonna just use one towel. Once it's all dirty and all areas have been used on both sides, you would then discard it, go back into the clean water, grab a clean towel, and then put it back onto the surface. This is kind of like the Gary Dean wash method, except his is a lot more technical in terms of you'll pre-mist it and so on and so forth. Check him out, Gary Dean wash method, if you want to learn his method. This is just a simpler version of it that works well too. So now again, because of the pollen, I'm gonna wash it, clay it, pre-wax it to make sure there's no oils or anything, apply the wax, and then move forward. So I'm gonna work maybe these 2 panels here at a time, do the entire steps, and then move on. So this Range Rover here, from start to finish, including the wheels, the paint, waxing, the whole shebang bang without stopping or anything like that, should take me about 2.5 hours to complete everything. So if you are in direct heat, this is a good system for you. If you're, maybe in pollen or you're in the cold times, in the winter times, this is probably a good method for you too. Again, tweak it as you see fit for your circumstance. This just works for me. It's giving me the results that I want. It cuts down the time. Now, because again, if you're doing this as a detailing business, then you want to do this as quickly as you can without compromising quality whatsoever. So, if you want to make more money, you don't necessarily have to charge more. If you take 4 hours and then you want to up your price to 200, and then 6 months later you want to make more money and you're still taking 4 hours and you want to charge 250 and you want to go up and up and up in price, that's one way. Or you can just take less time in completing the job and you essentially make more per hour because you're completing it faster. So if you can finish it faster and get just as good a results as you did before, just in a shorter time frame, then by all means definitely figure out a method, a system that works for you to get the same quality results just in a shorter time frame. So like I said, I'm going to work these 2 panels first. Super simple, nothing too complicated. We're going to work the top sections. And because this is the top part, it's not that dirty, so I'm not getting the towel that dirty. I can guarantee that. As you can tell, there's not much on there, so I'll keep on using it on the bottom side as well. And of course, since it's the lower sections, then it is going to get much dirtier. And as you can tell, there's dirt on this side, so I'll use this section here because it's still clean on that side. And now that side is dirty, so now we have the full towel is dirty. So now just flip it to this clean side and we can keep it going. Now we can work on the next panel. And again, you're not putting too much down pressure on it. You're not really trying to agitate it. You're just putting up enough pressure to where the towel is not falling down, because it's not that dirty. And even if it was, you don't want to put that much pressure anyhow. So as you can see, this top section is dirty, so now I'm going to use this bottom section. And now the entire towel is dirty, so I'll flip it. And now we have a clean section. Okay, and now it's dirty again. Now once I've already cleaned most of the dirt off the panels, I'll flip it to a clean side and just pass over it one more time just to see if I catch anything else that I may have missed, because then I'm gonna start claying. I'm not gonna dry it before I start claying, so I wanna make sure I have all the dirt off before I go into the claying process. So again, this is just I already got most of all the dirt off. This is just if I can pick up any last remaining anything on it before I start claying, because I want a clean surface. So it's really quick and easy. You don't take too much time. And I didn't get anything on the towel, so we're good to go for the claying. And to clay, I'm using a clay mitt, clay pad, clay, whatever you want to call this. Same essentials, same as the clay patty, except you can reuse this over and over and over, which is great. You can put your hand in there so it's not going to fly out of your hand. And then I'm using, again, O&R diluted as clay lubricant. So I have O&R as a wash solution for washing, and then I diluted this for claying as a clay lubricant. So same thing, we're going to mist it on the panel we're going to work. You want to get it nice and lubricated so you have no dry friction, because the marring and the scratching and the swirls comes from when it's not very lubricated. If it's not lubricated enough, then you will have that catching where it's just not lubricated. You have dry friction. We have essentially plastic on, you're gonna have rubber or plastic on your paint, and it's gonna catch it, and that's where marring and all that occurs. So try to keep it very lubricated throughout the entire process so you don't have that problem. And again, I'll tell you a story that one of the first times I went out to a customer, they wanted a wash, and it was dead in direct sunlight, and it was during pollen season. And I did the traditional method of using the 2-bucket wash method and going all the way around the vehicle before I started drying. And as you can imagine, by the time I was done drying, by the time I was done with the wash, everything else had already dried, and pollen started to sit on the car everywhere. So it took me maybe 3 times as long to complete the entire vehicle, just because the sun and the pollen was against me. So using this type of method during pollen season, or for whatever you can find it fit for your circumstance, is very, very, very helpful. Because again, you gotta adapt to your circumstances, to your environment. If you're in direct sunlight, it's hard to do the entire car because it's gonna dry out. Water spots may form depending on the type of soap you use. It may cause even more water spotting. So making sure that you're following a system or method that's suitable to your environment is key. Okay, and then now we'll move on to the next part. And now, since I've worked these 2 panels, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish off the last door, because it's the last section. Might as well just do it all in one instead of stopping here and then adding more time doing this one. I'll just do it all in one take. Okay, so the claying phase is now done. Now I'm gonna dry it. I'm gonna dry 80% of it. I'm not trying to get it completely dry yet, because I'm just trying to get most of the water off so I could then follow up with the eraser from CarPro to kind of clean up any oils that may be on the paint. Most likely not. They haven't waxed it in forever, but just to make sure there's no oil so the wax, the sealant, can bond properly, I'll do the pre-wax, make sure it's all clean. But that's why I'm only gonna get rid of about 80% of it. Okay, and this is actually, I don't know the exact name of it, but I know it's a microfiber madness drying towel. Probably one of the better towels I've used for drying. Okay, and now I'm gonna add eraser along to the whole car. It's not completely dry, but this is gonna essentially dry most of it now, just because there's a few streaks, a few water spots. This will clean it up, and again, this is to remove the oils from the paint. This is again CarPro eraser that I'm using. And you don't need to use much by any means, unless it's, unless you did like a heavy paint correction and there's probably a bunch of oils and polishing on it. But other than that, this car hasn't been waxed in a while, so I know there's nothing on it, but just to be safe, for good practice and just to ensure that the wax is gonna bond properly. Now remember that streaks are always gonna be left behind when you're drying, when you're wiping anything off essentially. So you're always gonna need your drying towel or whatever towel you're initially using, and then a completely dry towel to buff it off. So again, this here leaves a streak just by doing that. So you follow it up with a dry towel, and now that streaking is completely gone. So never just go with one towel. You have to have your initial towel and then your drying towel. Okay, so now it's been washed, clayed, dried. We applied the pre-wax to remove any oils, and now it's time to apply the actual sealant or wax, whatever you're using. Here I'm using Chemical Guys Black Light. So that's what I'm using for as a final step protection on this one. So now I applied it, we're gonna butterfly it, and then we're gonna get the applying. Again, small circular motions or back and forth movement. You're not applying too much pressure because it's absolutely not needed. You're not trying to dig anything out. You're just lightly applying so the pad doesn't fall off from the paint. Now I know there's this debate on whether you should do circular motions or back and forth. I really just do whatever I need to do to get it on the paint, whether it be circular or straight, because again, I mean, I've applied wax and sealants with a dual action polisher, and those go in circles. So to me, it doesn't really make a difference. Just make sure it's clean, make sure the surface is clean, and you're good to know. You're good to go, and you're not gonna add any swirls or anything like that. All right, so I've applied it across the entire paint, so on these three sections. So now it's time to buff off. Forget what tile this is. I think it's a Cobra something Junior something. Got it from autogeek.net. Now, a few things to keep in mind. You always want to work from the roof or from the top, working down. And I know I just said that I'm doing the wheels at the end, but that's my system. If that's gonna work for you, by all means. But a rule of thumb is you always want to start from the top, working down, because you don't want to work over yourself. So with the wheels, I will be working over myself because some of them will get onto the paint. As far as the brake dust, the dirt will get on the paint, so I will have to go back and clean that up. Not really a big deal. But if you start, let's say from the bottom and then go up, then you're essentially gonna work here. Then you're gonna, perhaps hit your pants, hit your jeans, hit your, your tool belt on the paint there. You might, have dirt on there, might have dust. The water might drip down, and you have to clean up the area you just cleaned up in the bottom. So it's always better just to start from the top and then work your way down. So I did wash everything, clay everything, and wax everything. And then I started doing all these other sections because that's a more efficient manner than maybe doing this section, then going to the front, then going to the roof, then going somewhere else. It's best just to start from the top and then have a systemized process of working, counterclockwise, clockwise, front, back, sides. It's a system, nothing specific that you have to follow to the T, but a system that works for you over and over is something that you always want to aim for. So I started from the top, worked my way down. I actually didn't clean the trim yet, because it's no biggie to me. It's only gonna take me but a second, so I was more focused on the paint, and I can easily clean up the trim in about 5 minutes all the way around, so it's not really that much of a big deal. So that's the system you're gonna use when you're in direct sunlight, or when you're in pollen season, or whatever would fit for your circumstance, for washing a vehicle, for claying and waxing. At least that's the method I've developed. Take this, look at other videos. Again, check out the Gary Dean wash method, and you have other like the 2-bucket wash method, the rinseless, waterless. All those are all great methods. Just try to tweak it to fit your needs and whatever you're trying to accomplish. So take this, follow this method to to the T how I showed you, and then go off of that and see what you can play with, what works better for you to get the car done faster or with better quality, or just so you can get it done in shorter time and make more money. So if you want to learn more about starting your business, marketing, then check the link description down below for more information, as I always try to help as many people as I can start or grow their car detailing business. So I'll see you on the next video.